who's next? Yeah, who's next? Who'll ride a greyhound all night long? Welcome to the C.L.I.M.B. This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business. You're gonna need leverage. Today's music business means you gotta come in with a full deck of cards and a big old hammer at the table. And that's what we're here. We want you to win. We want to teach you how to stack the deck in your favor and how to put yourself in a position of power so that you can get the deals that you want and get the people to perform for you. That's what has to happen. That's why we called it the C.L.I.M.B. It's creating leverage in the music business. C.L.I.M.B, you see, it's an acronym. It's brilliant. And the one who came up with that is my co-host that I'm about to introduce you to, Mr. Brent Baxter. Brent is an award-winning hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady Antebellum, Joe Nichols, and more. And he also helps songwriters turn pro, get you into prodom, by teaching the art, the craft, and the business of songwriting. And you can find Brent at songwritingpro.com. Once again, that's songwritingpro.com.
And I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. It's an innovative artist development company. They help you find your sound, and they help you find your audience. Not only do they develop and improve your artistry, they also grow and monetize your fan base, create that all-important cash flow. See, I flowed there.
That's right. Cash on the barrelhead.
Cash. Flow.
It flowed slow.
It flows better than I flow. So, Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That's production, singular, no S. And we all know why there's no S, because there's only one Johnny D.
Lots of people are thankful for that. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. If I get my mouth to work right, but thank goodness this is not my episode. I can bow out now. Thank you. See y'all in about 30.
Right on. Well, guys, we are well over 50,000 downloads now as of this episode. 50,000 downloads. That is awesome. That means that in every single month, again, we keep breaking records. We keep getting more downloads than we did the month before. We keep having days within the month where we had the most amount of downloads in a day, which is like super exciting. So that for us, I mean, we do this work because we want you to win, and it means that we're ringing a bell somewhere. People are interested. So we want to say thank you for that. We're very grateful that you're listening. Please continue to share it. You're going to be cool, man. Tell other people about it. When you turn them on to cool stuff, that just makes you look cool, you know? And we're all about a big artist community here. We want to help each other out. And please leave a rating and review on iTunes or Stitcher and let people know what your honest to goodness thoughts are, because that makes takes the weight off of us. They want to hear from you. They want to know if you liked it or not. They don't care. They think we're full of hot air until you say that we're not.
That's right.
But anyway, man, you know what I want to talk about today?
What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about the process.
The process of growing an artist audience. And this is what we all want to do. If we're going to make a living at it, we're going to have to grow it enough to where it can sustain us for pay our mortgage, pay our car payments, pay our food bills, pay get our kids through college, that kind of thing. Totally doable, but it has to happen a certain way. There's methodologies for doing it. There's lots of twists and turns, and it's very unique for each artist, okay? But there are some basic tenets, and the formula for growing an artist audience has always been the same since we invented music. It's very simple. Get the art. Don't tell us yet. Don't tell us yet. Can I do a review?
Oh, yeah.
It's called a cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger.
I'm not talking about that little boogie that just won't come off your nose. I'm talking.
It reminds me of Rosanna Dan on Saturday Night Live with Betty White in the steam room, had a sweat ball hanging from her nose. And I thought I was going to die.
It's a cliffhanger. Anyway, so we have a tasty 5-star review 5 stars.
5-star. I know. It's nice. We have, how many reviews do we have? We have like 59 reviews so far, which is awesome. And 58 of them are 5 stars, and we don't talk about the other one.
That's right.
Okay, well, I lost my spot. Here we go. Okay, so this is called The Real Deal. It's a 5-star review by J.G. Stott. So it says, lots of people in the music business will tell you a story about how they will magically make you a star. Brent and Johnny will not tell you that story, but what they have going for them is the truth. The truth is it takes hard work, dedication, and knowledge. You'll have to find the first 2 on your own, though this podcast will pick you up when you're feeling down. Johnny and Brent will give you the hard one, no BS knowledge that you can actually use. This is the best music biz podcast out there, and I listen to all of them. Thanks, guys. JGS. Thank you, JGS. That's
JG.
That's awesome. There's some good podcasts out there. So
I'm grateful. I feel blessed right now. That's an awesome review, man.
That feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels good that people are digging what we're doing, and it must be helping people. So, hey, and if it's helping you, go to the C.L.I.M.B community on Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
We have a Facebook group. I know we don't mention it enough, so it's a well-kept secret. So we have a lot more listeners than we actually have in that group right now. So there's a lot of room for growth, okay? Right. A lot of you are not taking advantage of it. It's Facebook group, the C.L.I.M.B community, and you can go in there, tell us your story. If you have questions, you can ask us questions. We'll give you some feedback. It's a good chance to kind of pick our brains a little bit, meet some other people that are listening, tell us your story. If stuff's working for you, what's working for you, what you're struggling with, you can go in there and just, have a ball. Let us know what you think about the episodes, all that good stuff.
That's right. We interact in there. That's the deal. So we've had some great stuff going on there, which is cool. So ready for the formula?
I'm ready for the formula. The cliffhanger can end now.
Okay, here it is. Get the art and the artist. This is the formula for growing an artist audience. Get the art and the artist in front of new people. And let them do their thing. And
Mind blown.
Right? Mind blown. Okay? So, and you're probably going like, what in the hell did I just listen to right now? But
I listened to that review for that.
But here's the deal. The method for doing that is what has changed. That's why things are falling apart. That's why the record industry is having such a hard time. And that's why this is the best time to be an artist.
Same crack, different pipe.
Same crack, different pipe. That's right. Cook up the same pea, use a new pipe. I'm going to steal it. I've never heard that, but I like that.
That's written.
So listen, the process is what I want to talk about. The process before, again, we're trying to get the art, in this case, the music, in front of new people. And there were platforms that existed that had huge audiences. So we would create content, AKA the single that we're going to release, to put, or another piece of content, the music video that tells the story of the single that we're going to release, right? Or a story about the single that we're going to release. And we're going to put those pieces of content on a platform that has millions and millions and millions of eyeballs looking at it, or ears listening to it. And that is what grew the artist's audience. And it was really super powerful, right? How powerful? I mean, I got a...
Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show, powerful.
Right. You know what the date was?
No.
February 9th, 1964.
Well, there you go.
73 million people watched that 3.5-minute performance.
I think that's more people than voted in the last presidential
Almost
election.
positive that it is. Like, or in probably any darn presidential election, man. But, I mean, there it is. So, you know, you went and you did the Ed Sullivan Show because you were going to be huge then. You know, you could make an argument like the Doors wouldn't have been the Doors without the Ed Sullivan Show. They were on that show. They got a lot of trouble for being on that show, but they were obscure. You know, they weren't writing tons of hit songs. They didn't have as many hit songs as the Beatles had, but yet they are, and forever, you know, emblazoned into music culture history because they had such a huge reach. And one of those moments was the Ed Sullivan Show, right? Radio had millions of listeners. There, the Drive at 5 in New York in the 1980s and the 1990s, when nobody had a choice. You were either listening to what was in your car or you were listening to the radio. And there might be what was New York, like 14, 15 million people living in New York, and so there might easily be 500,000, 600,000, 700,000 people in that 3.5 minute time to Drive at 5 all at once listening to that song. It's a big deal. Advertising rates for radio stations go up in the morning drive and the Drive at 5. Why? Because it's a bigger audience.
It's the Super Bowl of radio. It's that drive time.
That's right. That's when that's happening. And then think about a music video. Like with MTV, you had millions of viewers. I mean, MTV broke a lot of hair bands, Motley Crue, definitely Guns N' Roses.
The whole second British invasion was MTV, like Andy Lennox, the Eurythmics, all those bands, the second British invasion, because they had videos and the American acts didn't have videos yet. So MTV, that's my understanding, was like they went with what they had. They had a lot of these British acts actually had videos. So that's content. We'll put it out there, and boom. All those people came over here and blew up.
That's right. That's exactly right. And so what I want you to think about is you're like, yeah, Johnny, I know this, but you don't, because you're not breaking down the process. Like last week, we broke down a hit song. I want to break down the process to get you to think about it intelligently and accurately. So it made sense to market after the single, because the single was what you were using to market, because you had a platform. The single was the content that you plugged into a platform that shot out to all these people and that they were going to respond to, and that's how you were going to grow the audience. It was effective. You spent $100,000 on a video to put on MTV. Why? Because millions of people were going to see that spin and see that video, because there was millions of people waiting at. And by the way, MTV, BET, GAC, CMT, all these channels when they first started out were strictly about music, and so it made sense to spend money, spend time, put your. Waste your energy, not waste it, but put your energy towards something like that, because there was a platform of people that were starving to see that. It was going to be seen. It was going to do its job, and its job was to promote the artist, to grow the artist fan base. Okay.
Oh man, when I was in college, I had it on CMT or MTV like all the time.
Me too.
And that was my discovery mechanism.
Yeah. Yeah.
The internet was freaking slow.
Dude, I didn't
know how to use it.
I remember my buddy Kurt Vorbeck was over. I think we were in like 8th grade. And we were just hanging out the house. We fell asleep watching MTV. I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning and Nikki Sixx was on fire. And it was that first Motley Crue video. And I was like scared and excited all at the same time. I was conflicted about it, which made me feel really good. I was like, this is awesome. Like, who are these guys? Like, oh my God. And so there it was. I mean, we were watching. People were watching. Okay.
That's where I discovered artists.
That's right. It worked. Okay, that's why it made sense to wait until the single was done, because the single was the tool that you used to market, because the platforms existed to make it happen. And nowadays, we see artists, labels, and management adhering to the same processes. The problem is they're not working anymore. And I'm going to give you some numbers to back this up, because you can believe all you want to believe, and you can hope all you want to hope, and throw every penny you've ever owned into a wishing well, but it's not going to change the fact that it's not working. The numbers don't lie, because the numbers can't talk. So top 10 grossing tours from last year, from 2016. This is going to blow your mind, okay? 3 of the top 10 grossing tours, 3 of those artists, ages 67 to 73. 2 of those artists, ages upper 50s. 3 of those artists, which brings us to 8, right, total. 3 of those artists, late 30s, early 40s. And only two, Bieber and Adele, were in their 20s.
So mom and grandpa are getting it done.
That's right. So just as a point of comparison, and this is what freaks me out, I decided, let's go look 30 years ago, 1987. What were the top 10 grossing tours in 1987? 3 of the artists were in their 30s. Kiss, Aerosmith, Ozzy. And everybody else was in their 20s. And you know who everybody else was in 1987? Madonna, Michael Jackson, Bad Tour, Def Leppard, Hysteria Tour, U2, Joshua Tree Tour, Bon Jovi. Okay, so
yeah, that kind of makes me want to go back to the 80s. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, so the system for developing artists and launching new artists, clearly, just in that number, clearly much more effective 30 years ago than it is today. We're still going to pay money this year to see the guys that were killing it 30 years ago. And there's only 2 artists that are new in this year's top 10 grossing tours. That's a problem. That's effectively the music, because of the way that people, the industries and artists' inability to adapt to this process change that we're discussing today, means that they're not getting new artists in there. So we're just going with what we know because we don't know anything new. Because we haven't been taught anything new, haven't been turned on anything new, man. You know, that's just a fact. And then how about sales? How does it affect sales? Well, best-selling country record 2004 was Shania Twain's Up, did 12 million copies, somewhere around there. Okay?
People be killing for that today.
So mind-blowing best-selling record of 2016 was Stapleton, which is really cool because it was Stapleton, right? Like, I'm so glad it was Chris Stapleton.
That was a best-selling record of 16?
Best-selling record of 2016.
Wow.
Okay, but sold 1,080,000 copies. Now, here's the mind-blower. Here's the freaking mind-blower. Second best-selling record last year, Blake Shelton. Guess what that sold?
I don't know. I don't think I want to know.
Almost exactly half. 540,000.
Get out.
So check this out. Urban, Carrie Underwood, Miranda Lambert, all in the $200,000 to $300,000 range. So $300,000 copy range.
Didn't even go gold.
Didn't even go gold, right? Because the mechanism isn't working. Okay? It's changed. The process has changed. The method for getting the art, because what's the formula? Get the art and the artist in front of new people. And by the way, everybody knows Carrie Underwood, right? Everybody knows Blake Shelton. He's probably arguably one of the most famous country stars because of his TV time on The Voice, okay? So it's not that they don't know him, but when he's got a new song coming out, what are they doing? They're putting it on the radio. And how well's that working for him?
Well, I mean, he's already on the top of the mountain. So I think, yeah, he's having number ones and people are coming out to his shows because he's Blake. But for new guys.
And they're coming out for his shows, but they're not buying those records, Yeah. And that's because when since we invented music, guess why we have rotational format programming on radio?
Because we get bored with the same stuff.
No, because we like the same stuff. Like, and there's plenty of people complain.
I got you.
Yeah. So we have rotational format. We have heavy rotation, medium rotation, light rotation, because as human beings, when we like something, we want to hear it again. We want to do it again. We want to see it again. Okay. We like it. We want to binge on it. Okay.
I got to hear it a bunch of times before I know I like it.
Exactly. And that's the other part of it. So it works like that. But the man, you've got to understand that this is what the process was, right? When I speak to artists now about how the process has changed, and the music doesn't come first now, the artist comes first. So everybody out there who's like, I'm just not even going to think about marketing until I get done with my CD, Right? There's two problems with that statement. Number one is, why are you making a CD? And number two is, why are you waiting to market it? Because you're basing that on the fact that you're going to get your art and yourself, the artist, in front of new people because the music's going to do it for you. But the music didn't do that. The platforms did it. And the music was what we liked. It's what we saw. But those platforms don't exist anymore. Do you know that CBS radio is pretty much like non-existent now? I had a great conversation with like 3 super pro dudes in my audience, in my office, on Friday. Possible new client that we're going to be working with. Blessed to be hanging out. Like, you would know these names, Brent, like in the industry, like all 3 of them, they were sick. Okay. Telling me, man, CBS has just been selling off stations. Like, why? Because radio's in debt, losing money. It's not working. The listeners aren't there. Radio makes their money from commercials, from advertising, and the advertisers pay based on how many people are listening. And when people aren't listening, they're not paying, but the overhead doesn't change. It costs the same amount of money to all those salaries, keep the lights on, have the building, rent the space, blah, 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 you know? So think about that. But people get disgruntled. Artists get disgruntled when I tell them, man, it's not about the music anymore. And they think that that means that the music doesn't matter.
Right.
That's not the case. It's just that the process switched. The music's still important, because if you suck and you do the marketing right and they're interested in you as an artist, and then you come out with some piece of crap track, it's all over.
Yeah.
So the music's important. The music's very important. But
good marketing lets a lot of people know about bad artists faster.
That's right.
That way, just a lot of people know that you suck.
And most
if you're good at marketing,
really bad artists
bad at music,
suck worse at marketing.
So, if you're bad at music and marketing, just not many people know you suck. But yeah.
But if you don't comply with the process, then it doesn't work. It's that simple. Think about a cake recipe, right? What happens if you swap the sugar and the salt amounts? It's like a couple cups of sugar, pinch of salt. You flip-flop that. That's a problem, right?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, is the salt important to the recipe? Yeah, it wouldn't be in there. You know, is the sugar important to the recipe? Yeah, it wouldn't be in there. But there's a process to it that you have to adhere to, right? How about something as stupidly simple as getting dressed in the morning, right? Underwear first, and then your pants.
Oh, is that how you do it?
Yeah. Well, for those of us that wear underwear, Brent, yes.
Oh.
But if you flip-flop and I'm not saying the underwear is necessarily more or less important than the pants. I'm not saying the pants are more or less important than the underwear. But the underwear goes first, then the pants. If you flip-flop that, you're going to look like a moron, right?
Yeah.
So you have to market first before you make the CD or an EP today. You're not going to get on the radio unless you've got a big enough name that you're so big that you're a big enough business, that you're a big enough brand name, that you're undeniable, that they can't ignore you. Before, it was the way we would launch an artist, because the platform was there, the people were listening. Now they're not. So you thinking that you're going to, make a CD or an EP and you're going to wait until that's done and then start marketing, you're screwing yourself 6 ways from Sunday. We marketed Bailey James 18 months before she came out. And by the way, you're not going to make any money on the first record. So making a CD is an ego trip. It's unnecessary. Luke Bryan makes EPs. The Cruise, the big, huge Mac knockdown, drag out, smash hit single from Florida Georgia Line. It was on an EP. Okay? You don't need a full CD because it's not going to sell. So why spend the money on it? Spend the money on the other 6 songs on marketing. All right? And spend it before you make the EP. You need to find the audience first with yourself, with your doing cover songs, doing what you got to do, rather than hoping that you're going to get a viral video, or hoping that you're going to get on radio with zero marketing dollars, right? And even if you had $500,000 marketing and you could get on radio, it's still not working to break artists. It's just not working, So you have to market first, and then before you spend the money on a music video. Think about that. People want to do it. I got artists that do it. Like, I advise against every one of my artists spending any money at this stage of the game on a music video. Because if you're not going to get on GAC or CMT, first of all, for everybody that's out there listening who just wants to make a video because that was their dream, right? Then what are you going to put it on? Where's the video going? YouTube.
Right. YouTube. Yeah.
And who's watching that? What's your channel look like? Nobody.
Yeah, I mean, a billion people are watching YouTube, but they're just not watching your stuff. They don't know about your stuff.
Right. So, I mean, one of the concepts that I've been cooking up with my buddy he's arguably one of the top 10 ad guys in the country, right? His accounts that he's done are XM Sirius Satellite Radio, all those commercials, he did them. Lending Tree, when banks compete, you win, that's him and his partner.
Nice.
Four Seasons Hotels, GM Credit Card, Panera Bread, Sam Adams Beer. Like, you've heard his work, I promise. You've been touched by his art, okay? And he's a super creative ad guy. We started our first band together in like 7th grade. And we talk about this a lot. And we've cooked up a different way to create a bunch of little 30-second videos that are designed to create intrigue about the artist. And spending money on that and putting it in front of a targeted video, right? In the case of Bailey James, for instance, her audience is 9 to 14-year-old kids. So if we specify on the media buy that we want this commercial, essentially is what it is, right? But it's like a little story branding exercise, a little something just to get people interested. Like, imagine, this is one thing when we first cooked up this idea, is like, check this out, John, we could do this for Bailey. He goes, what if you just, the camera opens up and Bailey's on stage busting out a high note. It's the last note of the night, packed crowd in a club. Everybody screams. She says, "Thank you, I'm Bailey James," puts the microphone in the stand, walks off the side of the stage, gets paid by the club owner's right there with a stack of cash. She just grabs that stack of cash, which is her payment for the night, walks out the front door and gives all her money away to homeless people. And then turns back to the camera, breaks the fourth wall and says, "I'm not done giving yet. I want to give you my first free single too. Go to giftfrombailey.com." How many email addresses are we going to get? Like, if we spent the same amount of money on radio spins and we bought commercial spots to do what? To get my artist in front of new people. A different way.
Yeah. But
right?
in a way that's consistent with her brand, too.
Yeah.
Because Bailey does charitable stuff, Jason Foundation, all that stuff. So that makes sense for
it could be
her.
anything. It could be
that
like,
particular example. Right.
Yeah, it could be.
And that's what's important, is you had your artist in mind.
Exactly.
What would work for Bailey.
It's got to be like a brand specific. It could be shocking. It could be funny. It could be heartstrings. It could be whatever it is. But they're like, who is this person? Yes, I want to download that. Now we have the opportunity. They've raised their hand. We have their contact information. And now we can get them in touch with the artist and set that up, right? And unless you've got like 1 million people, why make a video? Why make a music video? For who? And what happens if you do pay a promoter? Most people who make a music video, by the way, don't have the money to pay the promoter, right? Most indie artists.
Right.
To even think about getting it on MTV, BET, GAC, or CMT. But by the way, those that do promote and get it on there, is it even on the network? Mostly, no. It's online.
Yeah.
It's online, and some people are going to see it. And it doesn't hurt your brand, but is the juice worth the squeeze, man? I don't know. I don't think it is. This is where I'm coming from. So you've got to market first and build a following. Guess what? Before you get your record deal now. Before it was get the record deal. And then they're going to market you, right? And by the way, when you come into marketing, let's remember the biggest and the best acts didn't just come out of the box and make money on the first record. So why you would spend money on a CD on 12 songs or 10 songs when I can guarantee you're not going to make that money back on the first CD. You're just going to be building a brand. Bon Jovi started off in the hole, took him 3 records to break, right? Springsteen started off in the hole, took him 3 records to break. Bon Jovi's third record was Slippery and went big, right? Springsteen's third record was Born to Run, went big, right? Def Leppard started off in the hole, big time. Third record, Pyromania. That's where it went big, right? Billy Joel started off in the hole. First record sucked. Second record did pretty good. That was Piano Man. That actually was like a miracle. But then the third and the fourth records, only $1 million apiece. So I promise you the money that they spent promoting that, they didn't make it back. But then the fifth, that was The Stranger. 7 million records. Boom. Now he's
Billy Joel.
Billy Joel, right? Boom. It's incredible, But you guys, so the process that you're thinking in your head is probably inaccurate, okay? You've got to and you want to. I promise that you want to build the audience first, because I just had this conversation with those same guys in that same meeting where we were talking about Granger Smith, and I think you've all heard this podcast. You've heard this story. He built up a $1.8 million business from his laptop using content marketing, and then used that as leverage to get the record deal. And Wheelhouse Records is the record label that we talk about, which is an imprint of Broken Bow and Benny Brown's label. Okay, that's Aldine started. That's the house that Aldine built over there. Okay, but Wheelhouse is his label. That's his imprint. That's how much leverage he had as a debut artist. I'm going to get my own label. But let me ask you this. That sounds really cool. That sounds great, Johnny. But let me ask you this. Look at the alternative. Look at the survivorship bias aspect of this. What happened to all the artists with a whole lot of talent on Broken Bow that didn't have an audience yet? The day that Granger Smith came in and signed that deal.
They got bumped to the back of the line.
Boom. Go to the back of the line. If you're not making money for us right now, we're not spending money on you right now, because we got to focus on this. Because he came with an audience. So, your dream of getting that deal minus the reality that you need the audience to accompany that dream is going to turn out to be a nightmare. God forbid. My biggest fear for some of my artists who really still want this is, what if they say yes? They don't have a deal, Johnny. Well, yeah, but what is that? That deal and $2.50 will get you a cup of coffee at Starbucks,
Yeah.
Or maybe you'll still be working there because, God bless you, you're broke, but you got a deal.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's the thing, because they're going to put you on radio tour if you're lucky when you finally get rolling, and that costs you money.
Oh.
And that lasts a while. Yeah. And, it's just no leverage.
The process used to be, guys, here's the bad news. The process used to be that you just had to have some talent. The record labels would find you, and they would develop you, and they would take care of everything, but they would also take care of all your money. They would take all the money. You're lucky to get 5, 6, 7 points on a first record. And you gave 3, 4, 5 of them to your producer. So you didn't make any money on records. There's artists that I know personally that the brand names of, sold 8 million records, never made a dime from the record label, never recouped. Okay? But so the bad news is that in today's market, there's more expected of an artist. You're expected to learn how to brand yourself. You're expected to learn how to create an audience. And you're expected to have one. And you're going to have one before anybody's going to pay attention to you. But guess what? You get far more control artistically. You get to do what you want to do. You just have to be compelling. Okay? It's not okay to be artistic and say, we're artistic and we do 25-minute songs. Well, if you can be, freaking Fish or Allman Brothers or the Grateful Dead and fill up 60,000 people at Alpine Valley in Wisconsin while you play that 25-minute song, God bless you. That's a good plan. But if you can't, nobody cares. You got to change your plan, right? You got you got to be compelling. But business-wise, you've got to learn this new skill, but you got all the control and everything's at your fingertips. It's never been a better time than to be an artist right now, but understand the process. It's changed. It's bass backwards, as my dad would say. It's different, And if you don't recognize that, and you don't want to believe that, and you don't want to adhere to that, then I promise you a life of struggle in the music industry, and you're going to spend a lot of your money or other people's money, and it's not going to work. And because they're going to give you that money because they love you, and they might not exactly know what that process is. And they're just going to trust you to be good stewards of their money. And, I've got to see that all the time. My Aunt Jenny gave me the money and, make this record.
That's going to be an awkward family reunion.
Yeah, man. Not fun, So anyway, that's all I got to say about that, man. I do want to let you know that, this kind of thought process here, we can be applied directly to your specific situation in a one-on-one consultation. So reach out to me at info@daredevilproduction.com. Again, production is singular. There is no S. info@daredevilproduction.com. And set up a one-on-one consultation. You'd be amazed at what we can get done in less than 2 hours. We do charge for that, but it's an overhaul on your whole process. You'll get new marching orders, and we will put you on the right track to march towards success and make sure that every dollar that you're spending, you're getting something in return for it, until that magic day happens when every dollar that you spend, you're getting, $1.50 in return, which is ultimately where you want to be, right?
Yeah.
So with that, guys, we want you to win, man. Make sure you share this stuff. If you like what you heard today, if you think other people could benefit from this, share it. Please leave a rating and review. We're going to read them on the air. We're going to make you famous. All right? You're going to need some leverage, man. Keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.